Hello, and welcome to another Pac-12 preview. For real this time, I swear, I'm done ranting. If you watched my previous video, thank you for sitting through it. I know it was a long one. Goal now is to kind of make these videos a little bit shorter, so let's get started with it. So, we're going to just basically do an overview of the entirety of the Pac-12 schedule. I mean, really, we're just going to kind of go over some key games that I think are going to play into the final season of the Pac-12 as we know it. We're going to do a quick feature on Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders, and rank the North and the South, and who potentially make my prediction of who's going to win the Pac-12, the final Pac-12 title game of existence, at least in this form. We got a lot of good games on the schedule here. Most notably, so UW's out of conference schedule, their biggest game on their out of conference schedule this year is going to be Michigan State. Again, a potential Big Ten game, Big Ten team that they're going to be playing against next year. So this winds up being a good test for them. They did beat Michigan State last year at home to get themselves up high into the rankings. UW is currently in the preseason poll ranked 10. Oregon's got a couple things going on. They open the season against Portland State, whoop-de-doo. Then they play against Texas Tech and then Hawaii. That's going to be their out of conference schedule for this season. Again, nothing too ominous. Not too many scary games there. Colorado actually has a very interesting schedule going into the season as well. Coach Prime's got a tough road to hoe opening the season with TCU, and then they go again against Nebraska, and then finishing out their out of conference season against Colorado State. Let's see here. Arizona State is their big game. Looks like it's going to be Oklahoma State, and actually a potential scary game against Fresno State. Arizona's opening with a week 2 big game against SEC Mississippi State. Let's see here. Cal has a game against University of North Texas, which opened week 1. Week 2, they're going against Auburn, and then week 3 they've got the old Idaho Vandals that are now FCS instead of FBS, like they were back in the day. Oregon State is opening with San Jose State. Looks like San Diego State, and then I don't know who the third team is. Stanford is opening against Hawaii, and then they have their annual. It's not out of conference, but it's just kind of out of secession for a Pac-12 opener against USC, because they both play Notre Dame later on in the season. Stanford's got Notre Dame. Looks like the last week of the regular season. They also play against Sacramento State as well. A decent game, but also a much easier game. UCLA is opening their out of conference against Coastal Carolina. Yep, Coastal Carolina, San Diego State, and then I forget. I don't know who this other team is. Is it Georgia? Is it Georgia State? I can't remember. But they have that before opening their Pac-12 season against Utah. USC's got San Jose State, Nevada, and then Stanford. They have a week 3 bye before playing Arizona State to open the conference. Utah actually has a really fat out of conference schedule. They've got week 1 at Florida, then they are going to Baylor week 2, and then they've got Kansas State, looks like. Wildcats, sorry. My graphic that I have is super duper small. Again, UW's first 3 weeks, they've got a home game against Boise State. They've got a home game against Tulsa. And then week 3, they're going to play against Michigan State. WSU opens the season with Colorado State. They have a big game against Wisconsin. And then they have, I think it's Montana, before opening their Pac-12 season against Oregon State with a week 5 bye. UW's bye week is week 6. UW's bye is against week 6. And then they have Oregon right after the bye. Let's see here. SC's bye week is week 3. UCLA's is week 4. Oregon's is week 5. Oregon State's, I'm sorry, no, that was Stanford's bye week is week 5. Oregon State's is week 6. Oregon's is week 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 6 is week 6. Colorado's is week 8. Along with Utah. Along with Cal. Week 7 is Arizona State's bye, and then week 8 is Arizona's bye. So that's the basic football schedule going forward. Now, we know that the PAC is not doing a Pac-12 North and Pac-12 South champion. It's going to be the 2 teams with the best record, but I'm still going to break down what the North is, who I think is going to win the North and who's going to win the South. I think the North in reverse order is going to be Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, then WSU, Oregon, and UW. And I actually think the top 3 are actually, I think the top 4 are gonna rotate, because that seems to be, in the past, the road to get to win the Pac-12 North was always going to be between UW, Oregon, WSU, and Stanford. Now, through this, I'm not stating that Oregon State's is gonna suck. Oregon State's got a lot of great weapons going into the season, and Oregon State has proven to not be a slouch anymore in this half of the conference. I just think that you're gonna have to beat 2 out of the 4 teams that have a shot, knowing full well that UW, Oregon, WSU, and Stanford are probably going to take turns of beating each other up a little bit. If one of these teams goes 3-0 in this, they're going to be the team to beat. So Oregon State's not going to be a slouch. It's just, I think they've got a tough road to hoe against Stanford, WSU, Oregon, and UW. So the North, so that is the North. The South, I think, is going to be Arizona, Colorado. Now, I got Colorado in 5th place in that half of the conference. I think they're going to do far better this season than they did last season. Again, they did not do very, very well. They won 1 game last season. So, but then again, 1 is better than none. I know. 0-12, 2008. I get it. Whatever. I wear it with the badge of honor. Doesn't bother me none. It was a bad season. We get it. So Arizona, Colorado, UCLA, ASU, Utah, and then USC in the number 1 spot. Do I think Colorado has a chance to be a dark horse to win this half of the conference? No, they're not. They're not there yet, and they're not going to be there until they get into the Big 12 real heavy. I think Coach Prime is still working on an uphill battle here. Not so much in the sense of the university's pushing back on him for him to not do his job the way he wants to. I actually think it's more of he's got to get that foundation of recruits going right now. And this is season 1. Again, we'll go into what I think the prediction for him is going to be this season and potentially going forward later on in the program. Key matchups next here. And the key matchups that I think are going to be big is that for the teams that are leaving, this is going to be the last time any of these teams see each other for a very long time. Okay. Obviously, UW versus Oregon, for me personally, going into the season when I do the actual schedule breakdown for both UW and WSU next week, that's obviously going to be a big game because that's a big rivalry game nonetheless. The last Apple Cup this season. This Apple Cup is going to mean more than any other Apple Cup in the past, because this is potentially going to be the last Apple Cup. I know that, at least Jen Cohen and the president of the university have both stated that they want to continue Apple Cup. I just think that in the immediate future, meaning the next 3-4 years, I think that game is probably going to be put on hold because they got to figure out where exactly they're going to put that game as an out of conference. Because I think no matter what, there's still going to be 3 out of conference games. It's just where are they going to put that? Do they want to have that be the first game of the season? Do they want that to be put in the middle of the season before they play, Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, Purdue, and the big teams in that conference going forward. So I think for the next 3 to 4 years, it's going to be put on hold before it comes back onto the schedule. So this game is going to be big, and again, I'll go into that in more in depth later on the season, and also in the UW WSU preview that we have going on next week. Obviously, same with Oregon and Oregon State. Again, I don't know if they're going to keep that rivalry going when Oregon moves to the Big Ten next season. We don't know, but again, just like UW, I feel that game is going to be probably put on hold for a few years so that they can figure out where on the schedule they're going to put it. I don't think it's going to be a November game like it has been traditionally. I could see that game being played in August or like mid-September. Just saying. Utah's got a very interesting game against Florida. Again, that's an SEC game. I don't know if that game is going to be a game that they can win, but it's possible, and I would want to see Utah beat Florida. And WSU has a very big out-of-conference schedule against Wisconsin. I think that'll be a very, very big test to see what Coach Dickert has going on in Pullman. This will be his second or third season as head coach at WSU, and this will be a great test to see where they are as a team playing against a Big Ten game against Wisconsin. Yeah, I could talk more about USC, but I don't really feel like it because I don't like USC, and USC is going to be USC. If they're undefeated halfway through the season, they're going to be ranked in the top 4. We know that. It's going to take a whole lot more for a UW and Oregon, or even a WSU to even sniff the college football playoff, based on who we are, where we are, what kind of water we pull in to the national championship race. It's not going to be very, very good. So those are my key matchups, and just kind of, again, this is such a brief overview of the schedule for the final season for the farewell tour of the Pac-12. My feature coach of the year, really, and it was a story that I was very much so looking forward to. Looking forward to talking about the rise of this coach. Now it would be Deion Sanders, or as he likes to be known by the media and by his people, his team, as Coach Prime. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows his name, like you don't already know, obviously. Just want to make sure everybody knows who Coach Prime is before I move along and still continue to call him Coach Prime. I don't want Coach Prime coming to me talking about you being disrespectful, son. I'm not talking about that. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew your government name, just so they know who I'm talking about going forward. Please don't at me, University of Colorado. But Coach Prime is in his first season at Colorado after 2 seasons, actually, not 3 seasons, 2 seasons at Jackson State, where he won the SWAC championship twice in 2021, then again in 2022. And those 2 championships made him eligible for going to it's either the Freedom Bowl or the Celebration Bowl. I think it's the Celebration Bowl, which is the de facto HBCU national championship game. Now, there are a plethora of other HBCUs that are not in the SWAC and not in the MEAC. Okay, really, it's more the SWAC MEAC championship game. And so again, there's a plethora of those teams that are not a part of that. They decide to be in the Division I FCS National Championship playoff system. So again, he finished, and those 2 Jackson State teams finished second in the HBCU national title game. Again, you could say he didn't get it done completely. He didn't win it. He didn't win a natty, but he won his conference twice. Now, I know there's a lot of HBCU alums who feel that, Coach Prime turned his back on the HBCU to make a jump to go to Colorado and find success out there. And I will keep my opinion short and sweet on this, and I will say this. I feel where you're coming from. I do understand that you were hoping to see him create a dynasty at Jackson State. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna break it down very, very simple. HBCU alums wanted Coach Prime to be something that he wasn't. You know, they wanted him to be the guy who stays there forever, but instead he was going to go to Division I FBS, which is the natural step. And again, do I think that if Colorado had finished better than what they have been in the previous seasons, would they give Coach Prime a shot? Probably not. But you guys wanted Dion to be Doug Williams. That's what you wanted. But Doug Williams, unlike Coach Prime, has roots in the HBCU. Again, he was a quarterback at Grambling State, goes to the Washington football team, becomes the first African-American starting quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl, and then goes back and coaches back home at Grambling for a number of years. I actually think now he is a consultant with the Tennessee Titans. I think that's what it is. I don't remember off the top of my head. I could be very wrong. I'm okay with that. I can fact check that later. So you wanted him to be Doug. You wanted Coach Prime to be Doug Williams, and he's not. Coach Prime went to Florida State, and I still think that that's the end game for Coach Prime, is to eventually end up at Florida State. He's only 56 years old, so he's not that old, believe it or not, for a head coach. He can coach for another 6-7 years at Colorado, and if he brings it to any sort of prominence in the Big 12, don't be surprised if Florida State comes a knocking and he gets to go coach back home. Don't be surprised. But where do I feel that Coach Prime is going to take Colorado to? I think 6 or 7 wins isn't out of the question. He only needs to win like 3 games. They went 1-11 overall. You know, right. They went 1-11 overall. So I mean, if he wins 2 or 3 games, he's already done better than what they did last season. So, but I think that Coach Prime wants to take this team from 1-11 to bowl eligibility, which is 6 games. So I think 6 or 7 games is a good mark. And after that, he goes on to the Big 12. And I do wish him the best of luck there. This would have been such a fun story and so much content to talk about if the Pac-12 had stayed together. This would have been such a great story. So, again, that's where I see Colorado and Coach Prime being at the end of this season. Again, hopefully this is a short and sweet preview, and hopefully you guys like it. Next week, again, we're going to go over both a much more in-depth schedule overview of both WSU and UW, and that's how it's pretty much going to be going forward for the rest of this season. So, with that, this is your boy Deshaun. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the vlogs as much as I'm right now having fun making them, and I look forward to seeing you guys later on down the line. Peace out.